And Bitcoin is like that Big Bang.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Big Bang, in the beginning, right, there was nothing. And then all of a sudden, the time chain starts to form, and there's irreversibility. And now there's the passage of time. And now there's electricity run through the SHA-256 protocol to become digitized energy, a digital asset. And the beauty of the protocol was it was introduced as a conservative protocol, not an open-ended protocol, right? One that the universe has a bound of 21 million.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, and because we had that, we had for the first time this sort of bearer instrument that represents energy that's conservative. And if I can transfer it to myself, to yourself, without an intermediary, then I can instantiate it. And if I can instantiate it, I can persist it. The ability to persist energy without an intermediary is what allowed us to cut the cord with the banks.
Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, MicroStrategy CEO and Bitcoin enthusiast Michael Saylor updates about Bitcoin as matter and energy in the cyberspace, importance of asset allocation, and what makes Bitcoin magical, and the concept of irreversible transactions in Bitcoin. Michael Saylor also speaks about the recent rally in Bitcoin and shares the actual reason why he is against Ethereum. Make sure to stick around to the end of this video where Michael Saylor reveals why Bitcoin is leading the latest crypto rally. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the post notifications. And so without wasting any more of our time, let's dive right into the video.
I guess what I have to say about Bitcoin is Bitcoin represents, it is matter and energy in cyberspace.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big idea we ought to focus on. And we ought to be sending that message to all engineers everywhere that without Bitcoin, you don't have matter or energy in cyberspace. And everything that exists in the internet domain and the digital domain is merely a simulation or a model of something in the real world. The significance of being able to transfer something of value without an intermediary means that if I can transfer it to you without an intermediary, I can instantiate it or I can manifest it without an intermediary. And that means it stands alone in cyberspace rather than being an image of something that is in the real world. The image in the real world makes it a security, whereas when you actually manifest the actual unit, the Satoshi, in the digital realm, it is matter. I can create something of substance in the digital realm using Bitcoin.
The Nasdaq is on a two-day tear, surging 5% after the Federal Reserve announced another 0.75 interest rate increase, and GDP data showed another quarter of negative growth. Impressive, to be sure, but a move overshadowed by some of what we've seen in crypto markets this week. This price of Bitcoin has surged 12%, with Ethereum up by more than twice this amount. All of which fits the framework of an environment the Macro Compass argues can be defined by investors saying, the riskier, the better. Since the market's most recent bottom on June 16, we've seen many of the styles and sectors that led us into bear market territory lead us towards a potential way out.
Obviously, my philosophy is if you want to better the human condition, you're better off to invest in technical solutions than political solutions.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
And that's why I say Bitcoin as digital energy is a technical solution, non-controversial, the successor to electricity. Bitcoin as a digital currency is a political solution, highly controversial, revolutionary. One is revolutionary and the other is evolutionary. One of them is political, the other one is technical. One of them invites engineering professors to consider whether this is sound or not. The other invites economic professors, and so you can see, like, in winning the battle of the hearts and the minds, are you more likely to convince an engineer that Bitcoin is good or convince an economist that Bitcoin is good?
I guess it depends the kind of economist, right? Maybe the modern politically influenced economist will be a little bit tougher because they want
It's
to.
been hard though, right?
Yeah.
The majority of economists aren't even in favor of, they're not even in favor of a non-inflationary currency.
Mm-hmm.
So my view is we're better off to focus on the technology than the politics, or than the economics. But if we must get involved in economics, we're better off to focus upon just asset allocation of assets rather than focus upon currency replacements. So I think that what makes Bitcoin magical is that for the first time we introduce this concept of someone on Twitter the other day was talking about irreversible transactions. They said, why was Satoshi so fascinated by irreversible transactions? And they approached it from a very, I think, a narrow point of view. The idea, like, well, we can't have irreversible transactions because that allows, we can't fix money laundering and we can't censor, and how do we get control of the system? But my thought was, yeah, Satoshi wanted irreversible transactions, but the idea for irreversible transactions came from the great almighty when the universe was created.
Yes.
Right? Because in the beginning, let there be light, right? In the beginning, there was nothing, and then there was light. Well, light is energy. So the first thing that happens is energy, and then and matter is energy, and time flows. In the beginning, right? Before time, there was nothing.
Yeah, maybe it was all a simulation at that point. Yeah.
And so what happens? Well, when you actually introduce the concept of irreversibility, you introduce entropy and time, right? The progression of time is the progression of disorder, and they're inextricably intertwined, and matter and energy are inextricably intertwined.
And this week's post-earnings reactions from names like Amazon and Microsoft show investors are still itching to give companies the benefit of the doubt, all of which makes the action in the names like Meta platforms more painful. Which brings us back to Bitcoin. In May, Bitcoin's correlation with stocks peaked at 0.82. The max correlation for any asset pair is 1, meaning these assets would move the same direction by the same magnitude. But this correlation between stocks and crypto peaked as both markets were on the way down after the implosion of stablecoin Terra. Since then, crypto markets had generally been lagging the stock market and sitting out this recent rally. The spike in the correlation between these asset classes in recent days again shows the character of this new environment. The riskier the better.
Now consider all the structures in cyberspace built without Bitcoin. Nothing beautiful. Everything twisted and perverted in some way, shape, or form. We spend a lot of time talking about reimagining nation-state currencies, but I mean that's the heaviest lift if you think about it, right? The single thing people fight over the most is probably nation-state currency. If we just go back to reimagining a family's balance sheet or a company's balance sheet, or reimagine a store of value asset, and then we start reimagining an insurance policy, and we reimagine maybe a bank, and we reimagine a social network, and we reimagine a firewall. There's a lot of other things we have yet to reimagine. They're a lot less controversial. They're either financial innovation or they're technology innovation of sorts. All of those things are just waiting for the right Bitcoin entrepreneur to go and build that product or that service and that offering and run with it.
Saylor also questioned the lack of time-tested information about Ethereum. saying it led to concerns about the protocol's technical reliability and security. Technically sound means I need to see the protocol function for that thing after about 5 to 10 years. So we don't know that either, right? Because if you're hard forking and changing it, every time you do a big upgrade, you introduce new attack surfaces, he said. In addition, Saylor cast doubt on the ethical soundness of Ethereum. Ethically sound means I need to know that nobody could change the protocol, which includes Vitalik. And I need to know that no one at the Ethereum Foundation, no individual can change the protocol, because if they could change the protocol, it makes it a security, and if it makes it a security, then it's not going to become global money, Saylor said. Saylor has also recently suggested that MicroStrategy will never sell its Bitcoin. So, do you agree with Michael Saylor that Bitcoin is the perfect example of digital energy in the cyberspace? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video, and thanks so much for watching.